Hey guys, this is Jason, Colorado Mountain Man Survival. I'm out at camp today, but I want to talk to you about my preferred sleep system, the Warbonnet Hammock. So for my preferred sleep system for the actual hammock is the Warbonnet Blackbird XLC. I carry one every time I go out in the backcountry when I'm hiking. It's just what I like to carry. Matt carries one. He'll talk to you here about it in a little bit. But with the Blackbird, I do bring with me a couple carabiners, climbing grade. Make sure they're climbing grade because you're going to put all your weight on it. Otherwise, you're going to fall out of the tree. You can skip these and you can get different straps to go with this hammock, or you can tie knots or whatever. I just prefer using carabiners for a quick release so it takes less time to take this down. With the Blackbird, it comes with a bug net to zip over top. It's a jungle bug net, so you can lay in there, bugs won't bother you. I also purchased the winter tarp that goes over top of it, or the winter zip-in liner, so during the winter I can actually cocoon myself in a shell that makes it nice and warm. Over top of the Blackbird goes the Warbonnet Superfly tarp. This one comes in multiple colors. Obviously, I bet you can't guess what color that one is, but yeah, purple. It comes in multiple colors, and this completely covers the hammock, and then it has doors on the end, so basically you're sleeping in a suspended tent. Freaking love this thing. If you don't want to put up your hammock, you could just throw up this huge tarp, and the tarp itself could act like a floorless tent, or it could be a tarp that'll keep the rain off you. Many different uses for a tarp. If for a shelter, if I could only carry one item, it would probably be this tarp. And then I also have the Wookiee Underquilt, which is adds, I think, like 10 degrees, but it goes underneath your hammock. And I'll show you that as we're setting this up. So those are the three pieces of, actually four if you can count the winter zip-in liner. Those are the items that I carry for my shelter. It might seem like a lot, but it's super comfortable. I can sleep anywhere. If there's 4 feet of snow on the ground out here, I can sleep above the snow. I don't have to have a level spot. I don't have to worry about raking the ground. As long as I have trees or something to anchor my hammock into, I have some place to sleep. Finally, I have a sleeping pad. This is an air sleeping pad, an insulated air sleeping pad. It goes underneath, and I'll explain to you how it fits really well inside that Blackbird XLC. But whatever sleeping pad you use, that's your choice. This is just the one I chose, and whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, but whatever sleeping pad you like to use, you can use it with a sleep system. Anyways, I'm going to show you real quick. We're going to set this hammock up real fast, and once it's set up, I'm going to show you the different features of this hammock. To start off with, you're going to need a couple trees, probably at least 10 feet apart. I think these are probably the two trees that I selected here are probably about 14, 16 feet apart. But you could probably, there's enough webbing on the hammock that you could probably set up with trees that are 20 feet apart. But we're going to use these trees. Keep a close eye on us. We're going to try to do it really slow so you can see what we're doing. Pay attention. This is the Wookiee Underquilt. Basically, it's a sleeping bag that goes underneath the hammock. And then the Superfly tarp.
Superfly.
So Matt's finishing up the final stake over there. This took us roughly 8 minutes to set this up. Probably could do it a little bit faster.
And that included making some steaks.
Yeah, so that included making some steaks on here. By yourself, it's really gonna take probably the same amount of time. It's not gonna slow you down doing it by yourself. But you can set that hammock as high or as low as you want, depending on just how far up off the ground you want to sleep. Obviously, the higher you go up off the ground, you're going to have to figure out how to get your tarp staked in. Longer pieces of cordage down on the bottom, the guidelines that go down to the stakes. We've got this set about a foot off the ground. The bottom of the tarp, foot off the ground. During winter, when it's really cold, I'm going to want that tarp, the bottom of that tarp, to sit right on the ground, right next to the ground, maybe not on the right of the ground because it might get frozen to the ground, but as close to the ground as possible so I don't have any drafts. But let me take you on a quick walk around on this tarp, or on the hammock setup, so you can see what got going on. You see the ends nice and closed in. I can overlap those if I wanted to. I could drive 2 stakes into the ground right there and overlap each door so it completely seals that off. However you want to tie in your stakes, I got a toggle there, so all I have to do is pull that toggle out and that'll come free. There's a different way. What knot did you use over here, Matt?
That was just a tensioning knot.
So you can actually slide that knot up and down, right?
Yep. Here, I'll show
you. You want to show them how to do that?
Yep. So that's how you always get a nice tightness on your lines without having to actually carry any extra stuff with you. You can actually then just take and cinch this guy down. A little sticky, but
old paracord.
Like so. And then to get it unloose or undone, you just take them.
There you go. And then he's finishing up the doorway. So that's it. That's the tarp, the Superfly tarp, and how it kind of cocoons and cases that Warbonnet Blackbird XLC. Also on the Superfly tarp, it has these anchor points. So if you wanted to tie this out up to a tree, I typically don't use these, but you know, it's a personal preference.
Another option is they actually carry like fold down tent poles that you can do that with, that are the right size. So you've actually got the sticks just hanging there, and then they pull up on your tent to give you more space inside. Or if you've got hiking poles, you just take your hiking poles, extend them to whatever width you want, tie off the ends, and then you've actually got it self-contained. You don't actually need to tie off to another tree if you don't want.
So this piece of rope, this cordage, will be on one end of the pole out here, and then the pole will run across the top.
It'll just be sitting on the top on that guy line.
Up there. Let me move my hand out of the way. And then the other end of the pole will be on the other side, and then it'll just, by itself, it'll hold it'll pull the tarp out.
Yep, pull outs.
And those are, I believe they're lightweight carbon fiber. Matt has those poles on his. I don't have them on mine. Maybe one of these days I'll graduate and be a big boy.
Just more stuff to carry.
They also have some nice titanium stakes if you want to have some nice lightweight stakes so you don't have to fabricate your own wooden stakes. But, you know, we're bushcrafters. We know how to whittle sticks. You made a pointy stick. All right, let's climb inside. As you can see, this is quite a ways off the ground. Great for summer camping, springtime camping, fall. But during the winter, this is going to be cold. But now I'm inside. And look how much room I have. I can put 2 more people, probably 3 or 4 more people inside this Superfly tarp. Their butts can sleep on the ground. I'm sleeping in the Taj Mahal hammock.
Well, and then look how much it'll even change when you do the pullouts too. So that's no pullouts. There's with your pullouts.
So yeah, I mean, I can't even touch it. Him pulling out. It's really, you know, just a gigantic tarp. Huge amount of room. You could probably build a small fire in here. I wouldn't go too big, but you know, you could put multiple packs in here. Striker and Soul, my dogs, sleep in here with me. You know, lots and lots of room. But
you know, obviously how high you have the sides and everything off the ground. You can have these all the way down to the ground if you want, or you can have them up higher even to get a draft. And we can even show you guys at some point how to do like porch mode. That's always a lot of fun too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, lots and lots of stuff you can do with this huge tarp. All right, so now here is my Wookiee underquilt.
Film you?
Sure. So the underquilt, I mean, all it is an insulation layer. If you were to sleep, if you were to put this inside the hammock, you'd lay on it and it would compress and you'd lose all your R value, all your insulation value. So it just lays on the outside of your hammock. Here's the hammock. The hammock sits in the underquilt.
It's like an outside sleeping bag.
Right. So make sure you're not putting it on the inside. And when you lay in the hammock, it just pushes down, and this is just going to lightly rest underneath you. I personally also use it to put like my socks or my pants or whatever. So it's actually kind of a shelf for my gear, but I don't put anything super heavy in here, just really light clothing that I don't want to put inside the hammock, but I don't want to put on the ground. Maybe stuff that I'm going to get up the next morning and I want to put on, and I can just stuff it in here. But I can also put your clothing on inside. All right, so this piece, this top piece up here, this is the winter zip-in liner. Normally, well, these come with like just a mesh liner. You saw me pull it out.
Mosquito net.
Yeah, it's mosquito net. So if you got a bug-ridden day, you can climb in here and you get away from the bugs. But I'm going to unzip this. It does have, this is where your face goes. So you zip it in so you can breathe out of this. You have a nice little bit of draft so you get some airflow. This entire thing zips off on both sides. I'm going to open this up all the way.
Yeah, you don't actually have to have either one of these on there. If you don't want the bug net or this topper on there, you could take them both off if you want.
So now,
there's your foot box.
So this is the part that's on top here. This
that's
is
your
a
shelf.
storage shelf.
Yep.
So you can put your wallet, your keys, your water bottle, whatever that you want next to you while you're sleeping at night. It lays on the kind of on the outside of the hammock.
It is. It's right. Well, which part did we hurt on? Because I flipped it over. That's why. Let me get that out of the way. Back in your face there. Yeah. And there's actually a little tie off on this. So you can actually stake this out if you wanted to. But this whole flap is your pocket shelf.
So it gives you a nice little area to store your gear inside.
Yep.
All right, come back on over here.
Yep.
Now, also inside that holds that up is this cable, or it's a
Ridgeline.
It's a Ridgeline. It's made out of I forget what it's called, but it's
like a Dyneema or like a non-slip, fancy, expensive.
Yeah, it's
stuff.
A really strong cordage. This is basically what's holding your weight. Super strong. Don't have any worries about this breaking. But this is your guideline and kind of what's holding the whole support of the hammock. But now your hammock part you have a foot box down on that end.
Yeah, these are a shaped hammock. There is definitely a head side and a head end and foot end.
Yeah. So before we get into that, I want to show you this pocket underneath.
Yeah, and these are a double layer hammock.
Right. It is double layered. So what this is for is if you have a sleeping pad, you tuck this sleeping pad in underneath so your sleeping pad doesn't slide and flop around. It's not going to move anywhere on you. It gives you support. If you're not going to use a sleeping pad, not only does it give you an extra little layer of insulation, it also keeps mosquitoes from coming up and stinging you in the butt. Nothing worse than a butt sting from a mosquito in the middle of the night. But yeah, it gives you a little bit of extra insulation and some protection from the elements and from the insects that might want to eat you through a thin tarp. Okay, so on this side, my head is on that side. Over here is a foot box. So what happens is when you lay in this hammock, you're going to sleep kitty corner. You're not going to sleep straight up and down. That's how most people think of when they think of hammocks.
We call that the banana.
Yeah, you're in there like a banana, and you're going to be sleeping like this. Super uncomfortable. Your back is going to hurt. And most people that hate hammocks, camping hammocks like this, they hate them because they're sleeping in them wrong. You have to sleep in them diagonally. I'll go ahead and climb in here in a little bit. But what it does is your head goes up here, and the foot box allows you to kick your feet off to the side. Let me take my knife off so I don't stab it through the hammock. But the nice thing about this guideline, you can put some equipment up here.
Yep, a little light,
and you can
all kinds of different stuff.
Typically when I'm sleeping in here, I have my knife up here so I can have a quick access to my knife. I put a lamp up here, a battery powered lamp or a headlamp or whatever I want to use. And I also hang my pistol off of here. So now I have my firearm right in my face. If I need to grab it, if Matt comes spooks me at night, he knows that I mean business.
You don't miss our cuddle sessions?
I do kind of like the cuddle sessions, so you gotta give me some warning. All right, so
yeah, so you can.
This is it. So you sleep diagonally. Notice my feet are in line, and what it does, I don't know if you can see, but I'm laying pretty much flat. I'm not like a hammock. My feet are a little bit high. That just means we hooked up. Matt was taller than me on that side of the hill, so he hooked it up too high. All I got to do is adjust those straps. But I'm laying, my body is flat. I'm in a flat plane. I'm not in a banana. But again, here is the pocket. So I can put gear here, for the shelf for that. Foot box, guideline for gear. But I'm going to
take a little nap there, huh?
Leave me alone.
And then, I mean, obviously you would have your other sleeping gear of choice in there, like your sleeping bag and that kind of stuff on top. They also make top quilts that are essentially, the modification of a sleeping bag. But.
Right, yeah, there is another quilt that goes over the top of it. There's all sorts of accessories with these hammocks, but hands down, probably the best thing I've ever slept in. I've had multiple hammocks. I love this hammock. It's the bulk of my gear, but I tell you, shelter is probably in the mountains is my number 2 priority, or at least in the top 5. But really, I mean, imagination is your primary survival skill, and then shelter. I put fire and shelter in the same category because they're both meant to keep you warm. But yeah, shelter, very key thing. So why not carry a little extra weight, and why not carry quality?
Yeah, I definitely prefer sleeping in a hammock versus sleeping on the ground in a tent.
I hate sleeping on the ground. So if you're old and creaky like me and you get sore from sleeping on the ground, try these guys out. It's changed my life really for sleeping. I would sleep in a primitive shelter over a tent. I would sleep in a hammock over a primitive shelter any day. But check them out. Warbonnet Outdoors LLC makes phenomenal hammocks. Another thing I like about them is they are from Colorado. I like to buy local. I like to support local. They're all handmade, all hand sewn in the United States, in Colorado. Excellent company, excellent guys. Check them out. You have anything else to say, Matt?
No, I was saying, you've dealt with them more than I have, but I mean, all my experience with them have been flawless. They've been fantastic. They wouldn't even let me pay for shipping a couple of times.
Yeah. So yeah, the great customer support, great dudes. But that's my Warbonnet. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you'll try one of these guys out. If you ever come out to class and you want to sleep in it, I might let you sleep in my hammock. But yeah, hopefully you learned something. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.
It's got a reversible valve. Yeah. That's nifty. Don't use so much teeth.
So you see the sleeping pad fits between those two layers. It keeps it from sliding out of there. It locks it in place here. It's solid on the other side. Now I can lay in it. What I also like about having the sleeping pad in there, a slightly wider sleeping pad, is it keeps the edge of the hammock off my shoulders. So if you don't like being cocooned in here, having it wrapped around, some people like that, some people don't. I particularly like it off my shoulders. I'm a little broad shouldered, so I prefer it to be off of me, but it makes this thing phenomenally comfortable. I feel like I'm sleeping in my mattress at home.